everybody, today I'm going to be sowing lots of cactus seeds. I have got 10 packets of cactus seed here. I've ordered these online and they arrived yesterday, and today my heat mat arrived. So I'm just regulating the temperature on it to check that it's okay, and the thermostat that's already integrated into the heat mat seems to be working very well. I'm going to connect that up to my propagator, my new one, which I featured a video of that unboxing. That's the Sankey Propagator, 52 centimetre size, and that's what I'm going to be using to put all my seeds in. I will go through each seed that I've ordered. There's basically 8 packets of varying Astrophytum Cactus seeds, and then I've got 2 seed packets that are different. So this one here, I sowed some of these seeds last year and only 2 germinated, so I wanted to get another packet and have another go, because I want to make sure that I've got a few more of these, because these are beautiful cactus, very beautiful. So that's Arrojodoa pensiliata, also known as the rose cactus, and the other one that I've picked up is Azureo cereus imperator, which is known as the blue cereus. And then all the others are Astrophytum or Astrophytum asterius. So I've got Astrophytum capricorn, Astrophytum coelens, Astrophytum ornatum, which I accidentally ordered 2 packets, Astrophytum niveum, Astrophytum asterius variation nudum, Astrophytum asterius, and an Astrophytum mixture of seeds. These are true to type. They're not got any hybrids or anything like that mixed in. So as you can see, Astrophytum seeds tend to look pretty similar. They're quite large as well. This is the potting mix I'm going to be using for my seeds. Now, I've already prepared my cocoa coir the other day, so it was still pretty damp. Then I've added a portion of fine grade molar clay granules, which is also known as the pink clay granules. Then I've added a batch of my mixed bird grit, which contains limestone and calcium and the shells in that, and a portion of sharp gritty sand. And then I've mixed it all together and I've added extra water to make it into quite a stodgy wet mix, because I'm going to be sterilising this in the microwave, so I need it to have quite a lot of moisture in it for it to steam and cook in the microwave, basically to sterilise any bacteria or fungus that could be in there attached to any of the substrates. After I've sterilised it, I will be adding perlite, just because I'm sowing seeds. I'm trying to steer away from perlite, but I have a massive bag of it which I bought before Christmas and I have lots to use up, so I will be adding the perlite in this purely because I'm just sowing seeds. I've got 10 packets of seeds, so therefore I've got 10 containers, and I've pre-bleached those as well. Then after that, I fill up the pots, sow the seeds onto the surface. Astrophytum are quite large seeds, you know, they're 2 to 3 millimetres diameter, and they will be going on top of the surface, and I would lightly press them down but not bury them, because I need to make sufficient contact with the soil for the seed coating to draw up the moisture, which will encourage it to burst open and start germinating. Because I used to put sand and sprinklings of stuff on top of them, but I've found with so many seeds that I've sown in the past that can hinder the process, because they do need some light to reach them as well, and I find that tends to cover them up too much. So this time round I won't be sprinkling anything on top of anything. I'm going to sterilise it in the microwave now, and the first time I'm going to put it in is for about 4 minutes. Take it out, stir it, then I'll put it in for another 4 minutes, stir it, and then that should be sufficient for the amount that I've got in this bowl here. And then after that I'll add the perlite, then I shall fill up the pots and then wait for the soil to cool down a little bit, because you don't want to put seeds on top of a really hot surface. But once you can feel that it's just a nice temperature, a temperature that seeds would appreciate because obviously they like the heat to germinate, then I will sow them because that will help. And then I'll put them into zip seal bags. I've done 4 minutes in the microwave, so you can see that it's steaming, and I've given it a stir, so it's going to go back in for another 4 minutes. That's the 4 minutes up, and you can see it's really steaming now. So I'm going to give that a little stir and let that cool down for a bit. And while it's cooling down, I'm going to show you my heat mat. This is the heat mat that I'm using. Now what I've been doing is I've been checking the temperature of the thermostat, because I've never used one of these ones before. So what I've been doing over the last half an hour or so is turning the dial. As you can see here, it's off, and it goes all the way round to the on position, so the further round it goes, the hotter the temperature. So originally I've marked this position as my off, because if I bring this back round, it stops here, so I know where it stops. And then I've turned it up to probably about here, and it was about 27, 28 degrees. So I kept bringing it down and down and down until it got to about 23 degrees. So I know if I line it up with the 23, it's regulating it at approximately 23 degrees, which is what I want it on for my germination. I don't want it any lower, or not really any higher. That's a good temperature, I think. So I know now where my temperature's set. The way I did that was I used my indoor-outdoor temperature. I kept this away from the mat. Then I put the actual probe to make sure it was making contact with the mat, and I kept checking it and checking it and checking it until it was steady 23 degrees. And then that's when I put my yellow stickers on here, just for my reference. And the size mat that I've got here is a 20 watt, 42 by 28 centimetres. So that's the best size that I could find that would fit the base of the bottom of the propagation tray. And because it comes with 2-pin plug, and I'm here in the UK, they send me an adapter so I can then use it in my socket. So I thought that was fantastic, and this cost me under £10. So I was really happy, because I didn't fancy buying another thermostat for 25 quid. So I thought I'll give one of these heat mats a try, and we'll see how it goes. So I'm really happy with that, and it's working fine. There's nothing wrong with it or anything like that. Really good condition. So now my cocoa coir potting mix has cooled down a little bit more. I'm going to add my batch of perlite to it now.
A lot of perlite.
It's okay to stir it at the moment, because the dampness of the cocoa coir is attaching to the perlite, so it's not really causing much dust. But if you are cautious, then I would suggest wearing a mask when handling perlite.
But we're professionals.
You're a professional, are you, Jack?
Yeah. I'm a professional protect this man.
Oh my goodness. You will be by the time you're bigger, won't you?
Yep.
With all this knowledge. Right, so we've put some holes in the bottom of the clear plastic containers. It's just a matter of filling them up now.
Can I fill them up? Mummy, can I fill them up? No, can I fill them up? Fill them up. Fill them up. you start at the bottom a little bit.
Jack wanted to help fill some pots, so he's going to do some of these black ones for me.
Oh, you're letting me do all of them?
Yeah, you can do the rest of them.
Wow, that's good. You get to have a little break. I can put a little bit in for a start. And
All the pots are now ready. We filled them up with a nice little gap, so they've not gone too high up. And we've got the seeds here. Now the surface of this soil is pretty much just room temperature now, so that's ideal for me to scatter the seeds. And because it's still very moist, I'm going to skip the stage of sitting them in a bowl of water to draw up any more water because it's moist enough as it is. Because once I've sprinkled the seeds, I will go over it with a water sprayer just to settle them in, and that should be enough moisture. And then once they're sealed into the zip bag, they'll have their micro little ecosystem going on in there, and it will hold on to all the moisture, and that should be sufficient for them to germinate. Because what you don't want is, you do not want your potting mix absolutely saturated, soaking and dripping, because that will just rot your seeds and you'll just have a complete failure, and you know, your seeds won't germinate at all. But you do get, in some situations, some seeds just won't germinate, so it's just a little bit of pot luck really. But it's very fun to grow cactus seeds. I've leveled off the soil surface, flattened it down and gone into the corners as well to prevent any gaps. So it's got a level sowing surface. I've pre-written out all of the labels that I need, and I've got the zip seal bags here already. So as I do each pot, I'll label it and seal it up. Let's get started. So we'll do the Astrophytum mixture, 20 seeds. Okay, so let's get sowing. I'm just going to mention a little bit of information about specifically Astrophytum seeds. It says that apparently they're best sown between March through to May. Now the reason being is you get a higher percentage success rate of seed germination during those months, because in their natural environment where they grow, they would have seasonal rains, and no matter how old the seed or when the seeds are produced, they just seem to germinate better between March, April and May. So there you go. So we're doing them in May, so we'll see how we go with the success rate of these seeds. So they're big enough for me to actually just pick up. I was going to use tweezers, but I'm just going to put them on the soil. I'm going to be extra careful with all these seeds, because if you've watched my previous videos, you would have seen that I cross-pollinated my 2 Astrophytum cactus plants, and I actually got seed from one of the flowers, which was actually on the Astrophytum nudum that produced the seed pod. And I planted the seeds and they all pretty much sprouted and they were doing fantastic. But I only have one seedling that has survived. The reason for that was I had a case of fungus gnats, and which produces those clear little wormy things, that larvae that go under the soil, and because they were such small seedlings they couldn't cope. They were too overwhelmed and they just ate away at their roots and hollowed out the little cactus. So I didn't notice it until it was too late. Tried to save 2 or 3 of them, but they were goners. So I only have the one left, which I will show you at the end of this video. And he's very happy and he's doing really well now. He's been repotted twice to try and make sure the soil that he's in is bug free. So just push that down. You can have all the tools in the world, but sometimes you just need to use your hands. And then when you get across to the corner, just leave a little bit undone and then push out the excess air and then seal it completely. And that's one done. And that's it. So what you would do is, I'm putting them into my propagator with a heated mat set at about 23 degrees Celsius. And they're going to stay like this until you see signs of germination. You can quite easily see through the bag. You might get some condensation build up, but you just sort of do that and it'll run away and shake off. So you can keep them sealed up like this for at least 3 months with no problems. And they'll be perfectly fine, so no flies or anything can get in there. You know, we've done everything we can in terms of sterilising the soil, cleaning the pots, using a clean bag. You know, there's only so much you can do, but I feel better if I do these things because it prevents problems. Next one is Astrophytum asterius variation nudum. This one said a packet of 10 seeds, but there's a lot more there. Astrophytum seeds are quite quick to germinate as well. They can germinate in a matter of 2 or 3 days and they can really kickstart into growth. That's just from my experience of sowing my own seed for my own cactus. In fact, the seed pod that was on my cactus burst open and the seeds were already in the germination process, because I guess where they were housed outside in the greenhouse on the racking, there was a lot of humidity out there at the time, which caused them to start germinating. And then the moisture and the flesh of the fruit was helping create the right conditions for them. Okay, so I'll just spray that with water. Same as before, label your bag and put your pots into your bag. If you don't want to use zip seal bags, you don't have to. You can just put them straight into your propagator with the lid on. But make sure that you check them all the time, because they will lose moisture a lot quickly from the soil, depending on what mixtures you've used. I find that the propagators are excellent, but you do need to keep checking them because they're in a bigger space. They need more water added to them. They won't stay moist for too long. But I use pots, so I don't actually fill the propagator tray with soil. I just use it as a storage for my pots. So I'll just do the same thing and bag them all up. These are the Propagator penciliata seeds, and you can see they're very, very small compared to Astrophytum seeds. Because these seeds are quite stuck in the bag, I'm just going to sprinkle them out onto the soil as best as I can because they're so tiny. There's quite a lot of static build up in these bags and I'm finding it difficult to get the seeds out, so I'm just going to sprinkle them out. There's actually 30 seeds here as well, even though it says 25 on the packet. So all the static build up in the bag. There's 2 more. So I can see them there. What I'll do is I'll just hope for the best that they're in there somewhere. They're probably all clustered up in a little patch. But because I planted some of these seeds before, I didn't get very many that grew, so I've only got 2 that germinated from my last batch. All the seeds are now in the pots and in their zip seal bags, and all that's left to do now is to put them into the propagator. I've prepared my propagator. I've put my heat mat in and secured it all in. There's the lead that comes out of there. There's the lead. I've put a label on the plug and I know where I need to set my temperature, so it's just a matter of plugging it in, and it's next to my other propagator there, and the grow light up there, which actually shines quite a lot of light across here. So when I've put them all in, I'll show you when I've finished. I've now put all the pots into the propagator and I've sealed down my temperature probe. And I've got them all in there now. There we go. So that's all sealed in. Got it turned on. And that's the temperature. So the out temperature is the temperature that's registering on the heat mat, and the indoor, which is the temperature that it picks up in the room. So the probe is the out, the room temperature is in. So I've kept it on there for a few minutes and it's regulating it quite well. So there we go. Thank you for watching then. Bye.